but only you know who you really are. So if you share that with us, that's how we kick this thing off.
Man, I'm a man, a husband, a father, a son, a brother, uncle. I'm all of the above, a friend, uh, and a man. One of my most famous lines. I would say, I'm a man who gives a fuck, like about my community, about my people, about my family. And some people, just they care and don't do nothing, and some people don't care at all. And you got some people that care and they do something. I'm one of the people that care and do something. It ain't even a super. I was raised like that. It ain't even a big deal. And the way I look at it, I just do what I be the change I want to see, and just move in a certain light. Something my
Yeah.
son and my wife can be proud of, man.
Welcome to the Eat Cypher. Flow harder than the hands on Peter Piper. And now we would like to introduce you to your rivals. It's like Ali and Tyson. The hook is with the liking. So nothing, Mr. Bison. Maximus and Leonidas. You were in the booth with Titans. Goons, goblins, and Vikings. It ain't really nothing like us.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Lit Code Podcast with Edgar Jones, podcast with a menu is short and sweet, but there's plenty for your mind to eat. I am Big C. That is Edgar Jones, and at the bottom we do have a very special guest, but before I introduce him, I want to say thank you to every single person who listens, watches, whether it be Facebook, Ghana Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, whatever you catch us on, we appreciate it. I also appreciate y'all for sticking with us and just catching our snips because Edgar and I hadn't been able to do this as much as we would like to this year. We used to drop an episode every week. Now it's about every month, you know what I'm saying? But we do make sure we come back and do this outside all the other things we're doing because this is where it started at. This is where the logos you see, the truck talks, the breakfast, everything that I do, it all culminated and gave us this podcast. So thank y'all for that. As I mentioned, we do have a very special guest. As I researched him, as I was introduced to him, I always like to do my research, right? And I'm reminded of the movie Barbershop 3. Barbershop 3 had a character on it, right? Now my homeboy from college called me this at one time because at one time I was working at a plant. I had a club. I was selling puppies, doing taxes, whatever selling clothes, knocks, real, fake, all that. And he used to call me One Stop. That's the character on on Barbershop played by J.B. Smooth because he could get you whatever you needed, whatever you could think of. That was the man to go to. This man at the bottom of the screen, Mr. Otis Carter IV, is One Stop in his area. Two different areas. Something in common that we all got. We're from the South, right? You hit East Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, on the Bama, you pretty much got the same thing. Now you got certain points in there that's they whole different world. Like New Orleans, ain't Louisiana, it's New Orleans. It's his own world. But the country boys across the tips of those states is about the same, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, this man is is one of the co-owners of Forward Entertainment, 200 Man Stand, put on the Wisecrack Comedy Series. He does a bunch of community work, Moss Point, Nashville, and abroad, doing a lot of things that we do and aspire to do, right? So it's always good to have somebody that's like-minded on, somebody that's moving on the same purpose you're moving on, and y'all could swap spit, as they say, right? You know what I'm saying? We can share some things, we can learn some things. So without further ado, I introduce y'all to Mr. Otis Carter IV.
Appreciate y'all fellas for having me, man. Y'all have an excellent platform, and y'all give light to positive brothers like myself, and they walk in the same light as you guys. So I appreciate the opportunity, man. It's a blessing.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you for coming.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Glad you can join us.
Yep. So
it's an honor.
We don't have any segments or anything on the show, but I guess we should start one. But we do ask every person that comes on, who are you? And when we say that, we don't necessarily mean your name.
Right.
We really mean who are you. Now, I told the people some of the things you do, but only you know who you really are. So if you share that with us, that's how we kick this thing off.
Man, I'm a man, a husband, a father, a son, a brother, uncle. I'm all of the above, a friend, and a man. I'm one of my most famous lines. I would say, I'm a man who gives a fuck, like about my community, about my people, about my family. And some people, just they care and don't do nothing, and some people don't care at all. And you got some people that care and they do something. I'm one of the people that care and do something. It ain't even a super. I was raised like that. It ain't even a big deal. And the way I look at it, I just do be the change I want to see, and just move in a certain light. Something my son and my wife can be proud of, man.
I got you. That's what we all are, man. Everything you just mentioned was a part of you become a husband, you become a father, and all that through experience. And that's all we are. By all the good and bad experiences, man, manifested as what people see in front of them. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The titles come along with it, but that's what, if I don't know you at all, I can tell you that's what you are, right?
Yeah.
Now, I was introduced to you by a guy that I know you hold dear to your heart. So I've heard you mention him on a few different platforms. I met, as I know him, Darius D. Price, right? Working for Troy on one of my first pipeline jobs. The funny thing is he was cooler with some of the guys that I brought along with me, but we gravitated to each other because he saw that I was the leader of the pack. So he would, anytime we got together, he pulled me to the side and we chop on what we talking about. They might be shooting dice or whatever, but me and him would get together and break bread, and we never lost contact, right? Speak to your relationship with him and what he meant to you coming up.
Man, we call him, well, in my neighborhood, we call him Skinny Pimp. Yeah. You know what I mean? He Darius Price, son, but we call him Skinny Pimp, man. He come from a line of hustlers and go-getters. His father, his grandmother, his uncles, aunts. We was neighbors. It was only one house separating our houses, and the house that was between our houses was his cousin. So we was all family in my neighborhood. And he was a natural born leader growing up. As him being a few years older than me being elementary and teenage years, I saw him doing a lot of the wrong things, and I also saw him doing a lot of the right things. And what I noticed was a lot of the things he was doing, he had a lot of structure and order to it. He wasn't just out here reckless, just out here just doing whatever, but he now never seen him harm another person, never seen him, certain things you see from the streets. He didn't always exemplify all the negative characteristics of the street brothers that I was seeing. He had a lot of positive characteristics too, and a lot of order and structure. So as a young brother, and I have a dad, so I wasn't one of them guys looking for a dad or looking for structure, but I don't have a big brother, so that big brother figure came along with him because his cousin, R.I.P. Cooley, he was super, super close growing up. And that was Pimp big cousin. Pimp little cousin, and Pimp was the big cousin. So he was my big cousin, just off the top. So I remember walking to school and changing clothes and walking down the street to pick up Cooley, the middle school, and changing clothes and wearing Pimp clothes to school. I don't want that man Levi's, heel figure shirts, everything to school. He incarcerated. He don't even know we out here having a field day wearing his wardrobe. You know what I'm saying? We wearing his clothes on the way to school. That's so half the time you saw me being fresh at Magnolia Junior High, I probably had on that man's stuff. For at least the first couple of years, so that's what he mean to me, man. He's just a bad man. I seen him overcome a whole lot of adversities, from being shot, from being released from prison and making six figures on that pipeline and just going at it and being one of my biggest supporters with the nonprofit efforts that I have in the city, from being physical labor, getting it in physically, getting his hands dirty with me, and he'll donate. So just he mean the world to me, man. A lot of the characteristics I got in the streets, as far as being able to maneuver in my strengths and being able to go into these communities and recognize and identify with the young brothers and being able to speak their language, it came because I was under his tutelage for a while. You know, him and a couple other brothers, but he was the main one.
Yeah, I heard you mention he was the first person you saw. Especially from the street side of things, holding order in the community, meaning he gonna keep it clean. You ain't disrespecting the old ladies. You know, people say it's an adage. Used to be honor amongst thieves, is what they say. Right. But everybody did have a code when we were coming up. Certain things you didn't do, and he was one of the people that held order there. So you mentioned the word, and something I was gonna get to later. But adversity, we love the word because a lot of people have a bad relationship with it, but you should have a good relationship with it because that's right. What growth is. A lot of the stuff he's on now happened because he experienced his adversity and that was his response to it. So what is your relationship with adversity? Have you had a lot of it? And if you did,
man,
what was
if you human, yeah, man, if you human, you done had adversity, but it's like you said, it's how you respond to it. And my dad, me being having a dad, always prepared me for adversity because he was like, I only worry about things you can control. So half the battle was fought right there because a lot of people, the adversity is really not their adversity. They attach themselves to things that they had no control over. And, you know, they internalize problems they don't really need to internalize and make it their own. So we cut half of that out and only dealt with our own personal adversity, we'll be a step up right there. So of course I've had adversity, man, from the beginning of my life to the end. Like I said, I'm originally from Moss Point, but I moved to Nashville as a child and moved back to Moss Point because things weren't going right in my life, as certain parent and structural situations and things of that nature, just having that kind of adversity, living in the projects in Nashville and getting to go to Mississippi and live in a 3-bedroom house with an acre, with a lot, you know, with neighbors I can play outside with without worried about violence and seeing certain things. So the adversity started there. Had a sibling, had a little sister that passed when I was young. It was just certain things like that that kind of built me to be a certain way. And now when I got to Mississippi, coming from the situation I came in, it was hard for me to fall into the certain traps because I was already familiar with those traps. See, coming from Moss Point in the area we came in, that it wasn't a lot of street violence like that. It was a lot of hustling now. People were getting money, but it wasn't like the New Orleans and the Mobiles and the Birminghams at the time. It wasn't like that. So being able to see the positive life I was living in Mississippi was easy coming from what I came from in Nashville. So I didn't ever get drugged down in that. So adversity, man, was always just a necessary hurdle you have to go through in life. It's just how you respond to it. People are gonna die, things are not gonna go your way. I didn't graduate college. I got kicked out for selling weed or getting caught with weed my second year in college. Just certain things like that, man, and just all the stuff that come with the lifestyles of trying to be involved with certain, you know, in the streets or whatnot. All that come with adversity, man. I'm a convicted felon for trying to do certain things and maneuver in a certain way out here in these streets, man. So it's nothing. As long as you live, you're gonna have adversity. It's how you respond to it. That's the most important thing. Do you crumble or do you fight?
Yeah.
Do you fall or fight? And I'm a fighter. So it ain't never been no big deal, man. My wife done been through a lot of stuff too since we've been adults, and just seeing her fight and us attached to each other, it's my adversity. Her adversity is my adversity. My adversity is her adversity. So we supporting each other. Even with our son, certain things he's going through in life, it's a family thing. So it's all about how you respond. Having a positive mindset from the beginning is the first step. Because I've seen people have small adversities and treat them like they big. And I've seen people have some stuff I feel like, man, I can't even fathom what they going through right now. And they walking around with a smile on their face. So I'm always encouraged to get strength from others. I watch others. I've seen people like Pimp overcome what he's overcome. I have other friends with medical problems, other friends that had deaths in family. You know what I mean? Like, so it ain't, man, that's how you respond. Having a positive mindset is the first step of fighting adversity.
Otis, we appreciate you for sharing that. And you talked a lot about Pimp. You talked a lot about your old man as well, and a lot about the early influences you had and how much your family valued education, music, and athletics. What were some of those things that you learned at a early stage in that life that's played a big part on what you do now?
That's a good question, man. I would say, man, being having discipline, like seeing like what you say, music, being in the band, or athletics, playing sports. There's a certain discipline to come with those things. My dad he's a big disciplinarian. He wasn't super tough, but he's a disciplinarian. Even like the structure with Pimp, even having a grandmother, even my mom, they were big on structure and discipline and stuff like that. So even doing things, when I was doing some of the wrong things, it's a certain way you do things. And when you do things the right way, you just can't do it the way you see fit either. So having structure and discipline from those early years, from having a father figure, big brother figures in my life, that was probably the number one aspect, having discipline. Discipline will get you a long way. It'll help you overcome the adversities you have. It'll help you stay positive. It'll help you create good habits for for your future, to make you a better person. It'll help you be a leader in your household as a father and as a husband. So I would say discipline, man. Out of everything, out of all the stuff, it's not my person, not being funny. It's not, certain aspects of my life. It's the discipline. Yep. Having discipline, man. Yep. It's big, especially in young black males. We got to get that back. And a lot of times that we live in a free-for-all world and we move without regard to how our actions affect other people sometimes, or how our actions affect us long term. Mm-hmm. And when you think about stuff from a disciplinary standpoint, that'll kind of alleviate some of those problems. So we want to get that discipline back, because that's what I learned. That's the number one tool of what I've learned through my experiences in life that carry me as an adult so far.
Man, that word is so powerful. Me and Courtney talked about that word actually quite a bit, and we've had the conversation that, nobody's exempt from discipline. You disciplined at doing something.
Yeah.
It's just matter what it looked like.
Come on. I like that one. I'm about to take that one. I'm add that one to my arsenal, man. Yeah. Everybody's disciplined doing something, whether it's right or wrong, man. That's dope.
Right or wrong,
Yeah.
You find a way to get it done.
Yeah.
Something. And I heard somebody say, you're a product of your habits, not your hopes. So just show me your habits, and it'll tell me everything else that I need to know. About you. But that word of discipline, whether we're talking about the band, we're talking about athletics, we're talking about education, we're talking about your father, we're talking about Skinny Pimp, like that discipline.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And that structure. Man, you talked about something earlier that was very, very powerful. And I appreciate you for sharing this about how your dad talked to you about control what you can control and not attaching yourself to things that you can't control. Could you share with us a time in your life where you did attach yourself to something that you realized you just couldn't control? And then how did you remove yourself from that?
Man, I have a good relationship with Charleston White, right? So a lot of times he speaks on the negative characteristics of Black culture and the stuff that we promote. Mm-hmm. So during that phase of my life, even though I had I come from a strong background with a mother and a father in my life. I had a mother and a father my whole time growing up. But the influences of your community are very, very strong. And sometimes they can outweigh what you have at home, depending on the influences you have around your neighborhood. So you can have a great, strong family background, but if right outside your door is going down, the chance of it going down with you is going to be higher versus you have a strong family background at home, and when you live in a neighborhood where it's not going down. So that time in my life, man, when I was around brothers and sisters that were attaching themselves to the wrong side, and I was experimenting with the wrong side, and I got good at it. You know what I mean? So having enough discipline or not being, this is what it is, bro. Let me break it back down. My quest for knowledge. Let me start there. It's like I never would say I was a street cat, but I was a hustler, man. So my thing was never about committing violence in my community or hurting another black man. I was trying to get some money because that was the culture I was raised in, right? A lot of times our community teaches us to get money in a certain fashion, and we don't promote the positive lifestyles to get money. Or to better yourself is either rapper, athlete, or drug dealer. We don't glorify the people that's doing positive. We don't glorify the educators. We don't glorify the firemen, the policemen, the lawyers, the doctors, the IT professionals, the cybersecurity. We don't glorify those guys, even though they make good money. They're excellent leaders in their community. We don't glorify that. So it was a time in my life I was glorifying the streets and the hustlers. That right there, man, alone caused me a lot of what we were just talking about, the adversity that we had. It made me use my discipline that I had, and it made me go through some things that set me back a little while. And during those setbacks, you go to looking like, how do I get better? And that quest for knowledge during those setbacks made me grow as a man, because now you go to reading books. Now you go to having conversations with different people and including different people in your circle that have a different outlook on life. Books to give you a different outlook on life. Just educate myself, looking to see. And it started from just being a black man looking at my history. How did we get to where we are now, to where we glorifying the bullshit that I was just glorifying? And within looking for that history, I never stopped learning, and I'm not afraid to learn new outlooks. So that pushed me to be a better person, the person that you see now, man. Just that quest for knowledge, knowing, just having that realization in my life that, man, this is bullshit. If I keep on going, I done seen Skitty Pimp do years. I done seen my boy Marshall do years. I done seen my boy Pizzlock shot. I done seen this person shot. I done seen this person do years. My cousin Tulio just did 8 years. I done seen my cousin Marcus do 10 years on paper. And I done did 18 months on paper. So am I going to continue to go down this trap, even though I'm seeing all these people in my family, my life, go down this trap and get followed for the setup? Or do I look like my dad in there?
Yep.
And I'm looking like my dad, like, damn, he ain't never had no setback. He doing good. My mama I seen her grow so much in life, and the way she went into fighting different things in her life to the person she is now. Seeing these people bounce back, just that quest for knowledge, man, grew me into what you see now, man. The person who cares about their community, the person who's not who's humble enough to ask for help, the person who's humble enough to know I don't know every damn thing. I can be wrong. I can apologize if I'm wrong. I'm not afraid to publicly admit that I did something wrong or said something wrong, or be open about my flaws. All of that played a part in that journey, bro.
Yeah.
All of that. Yeah. And just glorifying. I try to be the person. I try to be the cool brother in the neighborhood without glorifying the bullshit. So I want to be the brother that, like y'all, that the young brothers can look up to without having to feel like, man, they corny, or they you know what I mean? They sacrificing a piece of they swagger, or sacrificing their individuality to become, to be positive. A lot of times we think positivity is corny, man, in our community, man. And we just, brothers like you and like Big C, man, we are the anti of that. We are the fight. We are the combating of that narrative.
Yep. we actually the next generation up. We up. You know, me
We
and Big
up.
always talk about our uncles and our aunties, them that's starting to get old, especially when we go back home and just seeing them maneuver and get around. And a while back ago, I was talking to him and I was like, man, I think we up next, bro. He's
We
like,
are, bro.
yeah.
I'm
We
seeing it
learned all that.
now.
Yeah.
I'm saying to our parents, if you think about your life and Big C, everybody, our parents are asking us for advice. My dad, I know in my life, my dad asked, he ain't gonna make a decision without checking with me first.
Mhm.
And he always say,
Yeah.
don't let me be old and crazy, son. And when he said that the first time he said that a few years ago, I said, he's looking at me to be the next, like for me to step up into the leadership position like he was when he was in his 40s.
Mhm.
So I embraced that. I embrace it. My mom, I help give her direction. My sister, my brother-in-law, they'll call me for counsel sometimes. I have two sisters, big sister and little sister, and they'll both holler at me about something.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to holler at them about something. I counsel with my wife. I counsel with my father. So we all bouncing these ideas off each other, but they really grooming me to lead the family.
Yeah.
My dad is grooming me to be the leader of this, especially my dad's side where I only have my aunt and my little cousin, and he's in his late 20s now. So I'm going to be grooming him to lead the family in a while and passing the torch.
Yeah. Man, we just talked about that.
Just talked about it yesterday.
Yesterday we was on the phone talking about that, and it's actually a blessing to be able to be looked at like that.
Yes.
And then it's a responsibility that comes with that as well. And I'm for certain just by hearing you speak in this short amount of time, you're being more thoughtful about what comes with that responsibility and how you conduct yourself, how you carry yourself.
Exactly. I was my dad was buying some jewelry the other day, and I was with him. And I thought the lady, and we agreed on the price the day before he went back to purchasing. I thought the lady said another price. The man said it was, and I was wrong though. I was all wrong. She had already deducted that price and everything. I was like, excuse me, I apologize. They understood though. This is my dad. He's 70 years old.
Yeah.
It's zero getting over on him if I'm around. You understand?
Yeah.
So even if I'm wrong, I'm gonna say something. He told me. I said, Dad, I apologize, man. I know you do business with them folks all the time. I hope I ain't come out wrong. He's like, no, do what you do, son. Don't never hold back. If you feel the need to say something, even if you're wrong, because you protected me. So you just that vote of confidence from him in real deal like 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? Just that vote of confidence with him on just a small level. So when he's making decisions on doing something with the house, traveling somewhere far, he always asking me for my opinion and my advice. My mom too. Well, it's an honor. I treat that shit like it's you say once twice a child, once an adult. I forgot the saying, and they getting back into it too, where they getting old and they don't mind asking, and that shows that they trust me, and it shows a certain level of humility in them to even, rely on me like that. I know some old fools too. You know what I'm saying? You don't get older just automatically get wise now just because you old and you 67, 80 years old, and all of a sudden you just some pillar of wisdom. You're going to have some wisdom to come with that age, but I know a lot of old fools too. They started trying to do it the right way. They sons and they daughters, they grandpa, no, granddad, no, let's do this. Don't do that. Don't sell the house. Let's do this. And they doing everything the wrong way, and they leaving their family in shambles. So I appreciate my people trusting me.
Yeah, it's purpose, and it ain't nothing you can do about it either. You know what I'm saying? We just said that yesterday. We not the oldest cousins. We're having that conversation, but we are the go-tos. You can run from it all you want to. You can mess up. You can do whatever. Eventually, it's gonna keep staring you back in the face. It's gonna stay on your spirit, and once you lean into that purpose on purpose, then everything you need gets drawn to you. You mentioned, I talked about a lot. The main thing you talked about was us glorifying bullshit. All us come up in the culture to get money. The USA is a capitalistic society.
Man.
But the other cultures, the other races, this is what they don't do. They don't glorify their bullshit. They glorify the legit stuff.
Yeah.
Our race, because of how we got here, because of how we were taught by who brought us here, we were taught to be humble. And the only time you see us popping our shit is when we doing the bad stuff. Right. You'll see the kids that graduate from high school with 4.5s and they got all these scholarships and they did all this stuff in the community. You barely hear about them. But little John over here, that's the shooter or the hustler in the neighborhood, you're going to hear about him all day. He'll post something, they'll post him in a fight, it'll get 1 million views, 20,000 shares. This little kid posts a speech somewhere in front of all these people, 50 people will like it, right? Because we've been conditioned to go with the negative. Now, we ain't the only ones. Everybody like it. That's why the Greeks made the Colosseum so famous back in the day, because we like to see blood and gore. That's why boxing, UFC, all that stuff exists.
Yeah.
But our people, we love to glorify the bullshit, and then we'll get humble about the other stuff. You just mentioned athletics, entertainment, dope boy. That's what they give us. That's our options.
Yep.
Seems like, right? If you add up all the people ever played in all the professional sports, all the rappers, actors, and all that ever made millions of dollars, if you group them all together, you take that number and you compare it to the number of black people in the world, it's a drop in the bucket. But so much other stuff we can do. So you're trying to fit everybody, like the biblical thing says, through the eye of the needle. You're trying to fit all these people through that.
Yeah.
And then when it don't happen, and you start running into the walls that it's gonna run into, then we get discouraged, right? Edgar made it to the league through, and the odds were stacked, right?
Come on.
We have to start popping our shit more. It's hard because we was raised to be humble too. I don't like a lot of attention. I really don't. But with the things I do, the thing Edgar do, getting paid for speaking, getting paid to do corporate coaching, me doing my thing on the pipeline inspecting. People have to know about that. So when the kids see me, I got an old school back home. I got horses. I rock a few pinky rings and whatnot. Because when they come up on me, you know what you do. I need to let them know what I do, and I need to let them know with confidence. I need to be proud of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I gotta pop my shit because the other side, the negative, they're gonna pop that and throw it in our face all day. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes I'm a country boy. I wear cowboy boots and Carhartt shirts and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like I told Edgar, sometimes we're gonna go into certain spaces. I gotta rock my ones. You know what I'm saying? A nice jacket, my jeans a certain way. That's the way you win wars. You gotta infiltrate. I gotta be able to look the part, speak the part, and we gotta be willing to go dead in the trenches to get it done. You can't necessarily go in there if you can't relate. Your message ain't gonna stick as much. I ain't gonna save everybody anyway. But you gotta be relatable. You gotta be able to go in there and relate to your people. But I just feel like we have to pop our shit more because we live in a romanticized culture where we romanticize the negative, and you think, they killed Dr. King and Malcolm X on live TV. So that suit and tie stuff, they killed them off, and then they gave us Nino Browns and Golden, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then they introduced their culture to us and told us to go be that. The suit and tie dude is square. I remember one of the pimp movies, suit and tie dude come home with his briefcase, nice house. Oh boy, the pimp in there with his wife. And then he come out and tell him, you know what I'm saying? Come in and tell him what he did. Watching that on the movie, you like, well, which one of these dudes I want to be? Do I want to be the square who getting this girl here? Or I want to be this dude here. And you start gravitating to that. You said it earlier, you had structure. I know people who got the same structure and don't come up in the environment, but it's been so romanticized to them, they just got to try it. And then they get caught up in something they have no business in. Yeah. That's how powerful that draw is, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Can I speak on that?
Yeah.
Can I speak on that? Because you said something too. And my brother Hambino, my co-founder, 200-Man Stand, he said something too to me. It was profound because I'm like you. I don't post nothing. I don't post nothing for clout. I was trying not to, stay on social media with all the stuff. People like, bro, we got to document our own story. Because if you don't document your story, they go tell you, CNN go tell your story the way they want to tell it, right? Or it's not gonna get told at all. Then I see posts from black people that discourage other black people from posting them helping people. They're like, man, don't post you helping the homeless. They vulnerable. I get that. I understand that the homeless vulnerable. I understand people post for clout. But if that post can inspire somebody else not to be hungry next week, because that's the thing, you're not posting it. You probably, and I know it's some people that's doing it that's not posting it. But the majority of the people who not doing it, not posting it anyway, you know, they not doing nothing. They just criticizing the person who posting it. So if that post can inspire somebody else to do positive or hold somebody accountable, why not? I used to be big on not posting, bro. Now I still don't post as much as I can or most as I should, but I'm big at getting that story out there. Cause nobody ever be able to tell you that Otis was a one trick pony. He destroyed his community. He tried to make money off his community. He didn't do nothing to help his community. Now I want to inspire other brothers, because it is. I get a lot of DMs. I get a lot of text messages from when I do an initiative or post something. So, oh man, I didn't know you should have posted more about it beforehand so I could have helped. I'd be like, man, I didn't, you know, I'd be conflicted. I'd be conflicted sometimes. And that stopped me from being conflicted, me knowing to tell my own story. Nobody's going to tell our story but us. And we want to look a certain kind of way. We need to make it look that certain kind of way. They going to make us look corny if they handle it. Then if the wrong brother handle it, they going to make it look too much like the other side. You know what I mean? So brothers like us who like-minded, who understand all sides of the equation, we got to tell our story. And what we got to do as a community too is stop thinking it's only one way to do something. We got to have the spook that's set by the door that's going to infiltrate. We got to have the person that's going to be an outright opponent of the system. Then we got to have people that know how to navigate the nuances of the system. If you don't have all those components, you're going to have a losing battle. If nobody's in to if nobody's in and lock the door, how can you go in and get the slave house? If nobody left the door unlocked, you gonna break the window and wake everybody up, or somebody gonna let you open the door from the inside, let you go in there and free your people. So it all depends. You know, you gotta. But if you're not abreast on history, if you're not read enough, if you don't have the people in your corner to tell you, because some people watch this don't even know what the Spook Who Sat by the Door is a book and a movie. It's about somebody going to the military, learning all the military tactics, and coming back and teaching the brothers in the neighborhood how to defend themselves, how to organize. So if you don't have brothers like that on all sides of the equation, man, you're in a losing battle, because we got to fight. This is an undefeated. We are fighting the undefeated enemy in white supremacy, brother. And since it stepped foot on United States soil, and the indigenous brothers and sisters of this country were misplaced and killed, the white supremacy is being undefeated. So when we have people telling other people how they should do something, when there's no proof that their way is the only way that works, that is absurd to me. You understand? So we got to try it all. We got to post it all, try it all. Somebody feed the homeless and post it. If you goddamn doing mental health awareness, do the mental health awareness and post it. If you're doing something about with the youth, do something with the youth and post it. If you're doing free haircuts, do free haircuts and post it, because all you're going to do is inspire and change the algorithm. I seen a comedian, Pierre. He had another comedian on there, and they did a fake beef. He had asked the man a question. I even thought it was real. He asked a fake question, and the brother got problems, and they was go fight, and they cut it. Man, that episode, that little teaser it was his most viewed episode. Then they got back on the episode together. It explained that it was just for views, just to show the algorithm that negativity spreads faster and farther than positivity. So that means if negativity spreads faster and farther than positivity, we probably need to triple or quadruple the output of positivity in the world. You understand? And we also got to get back to being shamed too, man. Brother, we ain't shamed of shit nowadays, man. It used to be cool. It's a power in being shamed, bro. Yeah. Now we just do anything, and anything is the voice of us, man. I'm talking about, I used to be hard on the rappers, you know, and stuff like that. But Dan, you brought up a point, and I was educated on it, because I'm a big black exploitation film watcher. I have a library in my house. I can go up there and show you 6, 7, 8, 10 movies out that I bought because my dad introduced me to that.
My uncle
But me just being right, me just being so hell bent on making hip hop accountable, I forgot to hold them accountable, because that's really when it started. The breakdown of the black family, the positive imagery started with those films. We started glorifying what the rappers talk about in movies at that time. So when we going talking about being womanized and these brothers talking about this and this, they saw it in movies as adults. I mean, as young adults and kids, as teenagers. So if you growing up if you born in, like they talking about P. Diddy right now, he a hot topic. P. Diddy born in 62. So by the time 71 come out and the Mac come out, he 13, what, 11, 10, 11 years old. He idolizing people that's womanizers, just objectifying women. So when you go up and look at him and he objectifying women, he was already in hip hop from the core. He didn't get that from hip hop. No. He was doing the birth of hip hop. So he got that from something else. If he did that, allegedly, you feel what I'm saying? Whatever he's accused of, if he did that, he didn't get that from rap. He got that from before rap, the era before rap. So just being fair and honest with ourselves, critiquing people, you know what I mean, and just being fair, bro. Just holding people accountable. I try to be accountable. Me and my friend circle, we hold each other accountable, man. If we on some bullshit, one of us go tell each other we on some bullshit, man.
Yeah.
And if we ain't, and I find I'm on some bullshit, and I find out you didn't tell me I was on some, I got a problem with you as my friend. You feel me? And that's what kind of relationship I got with my brothers, man. For real. We gotta have that too. That's the way we grow.
Got to. You mentioned knowing about the black exploitation, and then us knowing about hip hop and us knowing about drill music now, which is kind of the thing, and the whole music. I call it the whole music because that's what it is. But again, the way they dress now, the way the females like to dress predominantly, showing it off a little bit, heavy makeup, sparkling stuff, the wigs and all that, black exploitation film. That's what the prostitutes wore. Really, you used to have to go to Vegas or certain spots to see people dressed like that, and they dress like that to let you know they're advertising. It's for sale, but we've taken all this detrimental stuff as our culture. Now, it gave some of us to it. Us being violent, I mean, I ain't never seen us lynch nobody and put their private parts in their mouth and take pictures of it in the middle of the city. Or burn down no churches or burn crosses in people's yards. But we've taken on being violent. Mike Vick, the poster boy for dog fighting, I've raised pit bulls my whole life. Trust me, I know the history. I know the Floyd Boudreaux and all that. They ain't look like us. You know what I'm saying? But we've taken it on and we've accepted it. And that's part of the problem. But the good thing about us, guys in our age group, J. Cole's song Middle Child, that's who we are. We're the generation in between the youngsters and the elders. Right? You just talked about being able to find different ways to do stuff. I'm not necessarily an organized religion guy, so I take stuff from everywhere. The Tao Te Ching, one of the Asian philosophies, says that rigidity, being still, not refusing to move, is the practice of death. Because when we die, we get rigor mortis. We still. Yeah. When the plant, when we bend it right now, we flesh, we can move. A plant, until you cut it away from its life system, it's bend, it moves, and then it gets still. If you ain't willing to change at all, which a lot of the old people set in their way, you practicing death because you ain't moving. We tear stuff up as we get older. If we try to sprint and run real fast, because we ain't used the muscles and they've been still. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as you try to take off, there go that hamstring pulling because you ain't asked to do nothing in a while. You hadn't exercised it, right? So exercise and movement and being able to figure this out, because like you said, it is undefeated. But this is the trick. It's not like nobody sitting there pulling them strings no more. That lynching and all that stuff I just talked about. People say you see some of people publicly lynching. Man, it got way better. When our great granddad was walking around, right? Mr. Pete was the boogeyman. You know what I'm saying? He really could. You don't even look them in the eyes. It ain't like that no more. This is an autopilot thing from programming now. We push it. Mm-hmm. Our people, we recycle it. You know what I'm saying? We take all this stuff. They still they don't want us to be sober, right? They don't. They want the women to be hoes, the boys to be dope boys and shooters now. It used to be about hustling and getting some. The music I grew up on, and I know you did, been in Nashville, 8-Ball MJG, and was talking about being player, getting some money, getting fly, all that. Now it's about, I'm going to spend the block, and if I don't get you, I'm going to spend it again. We're talking about 14, 15-year-olds.
Yes, sir.
They on this stick talking, but then they still telling us to breed, though. Not be sober and still breed, but all the girls on this whole stuff, right? They still want you to make a young consumer, though. So y'all breed, make some babies. Daddy, you going to die, go to jail.
Yeah.
Mama, you going to be on some hostels. You going to raise us more little hoes. And then you gonna baby your son, teach him to be real emotional and all that. And you're going to get him what he wants. So when tax time rolled around, you get that check. He say, man, I want this. Dad ain't there to tell him, nah, boy, you don't need that. He also going to grow up a certain way. You got to attack on masculinity. All the stuff you talked about earlier was structure. Mother, father, grandmother, granddad. You know what I'm saying? Your name is Otis Carter IV. That lets me know it's a pride for males in there somewhere that wanted to make sure the name was carried on a certain type of way. Well, if we do away with that and they ain't around, who raising a young man?
Come on.
And let's say little Johnny got an iPad and he listening to whoever, I ain't gonna even call rapper's name, whoever he listening to, and they talking about drilling and ops this and bitch that and this hoe over here, and I'm gonna do this and do that. And he listening at the age of 9 or 10, 50 times a day, all day. He get on his tablet, he can see somebody get shot on film. He go play his game, he's shooting up some stuff. But what you think little Johnny gonna be on? And chanting, you know this, because you history buff. We're musical people. Our frequency, what we toned in at in our chakras, we musical people. So if I ask somebody, man, what come after P and you don't know it, you'll sing your ABCs back in your head because we remember that from singing it. Remember this is the way we brush our teeth, remember all that stuff from singing it. So if little Johnny here shoot, drill, and he chanting it all day in his head, that's what he gonna be on. And ain't gonna be much you can tell him to get him off of it because he gonna have to experience the same way you did. It's just different now. The bump on your head was trying to get some money. The bump on his head might come from a gunshot. He might not never be the same. He might not never make it. So it's important that we gotta pop this positive shit. Because if we don't, I mean, we're in turn, if we turn a blind eye to it, you just as guilty. So if we don't pop it and we don't give them no alternative, we just as guilty as pushing it. That's how I feel about it. Back to adversity, like I said, you have to bump your head, right? You bumped your head, and I know we getting pushed up on time, but you mentioned some of the things you had to go through, but yet here you are still, and that's because when you met adversity, and sometimes we do use it as as an excuse or a reason to execute. I did write a book. One of the chapters is Catch-22, The Old You Must Die.
Make sure I get that too, man. Make sure I get a copy of that. I love to get a copy of your book.
I'm gonna definitely get that to you. I talk about killing the victim, but the victim is important too, because sometimes your victor has to hear your victim in order to say, man, we ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you gotta let your feelings get hurt. Sometimes you gotta get wrapped on your head. Sometimes you gotta say, ouch, man, that hurts. So he can hear it and say, hey man, all right, that's enough. Let's get up and do something from that. So your ability to execute instead of use it as an excuse is why, even though you're a convicted felon, you still got 200 man stand. You still able to do all this stuff because you're not using none of that as an excuse. It's probably the most important part of the story. It's probably more important than the part of you growing up with the structure and all that. The fact that you hit that adversity and came out it, because I like to say it took us every day to get to this point. And all of it mattered. You know what I'm saying? Everything in between. Now I don't like to say, well, that was God's will. Now you made a decision. Some resulted, you had to deal with that, and reality was what it was because of that decision you made. But your ability to do that, I want to just commend you on doing all the stuff you do in spite of, you know what I'm saying? Because you could have quit. You could have used it and said, hey, man, I'm a felon. I can't do nothing else. That's what they like to hear say. I can't do nothing because I'm a felon. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to you for doing that. I know we're pressed for time. If you you mentioned college earlier, you mentioned how important education was to your family. I know I'm backtracking, but this is another pivot
Nah, we
point.
good.
If you check over my shoulder, I know you see the you see the SU flags flying over there. I know you was a brave yourself out there at Alcorn, and I'm sorry for that you didn't you didn't get a chance to attend, the HBCU or play in the human jukebox. You know what I'm saying? But talk about your college experience, and I know you talked about the fact you didn't graduate. So what I want to get to is how did your family being entrenched in education, how did they feel about you getting kicked out? What was that like?
Man, my experience in college, the good and the bad, was necessary, because without those experiences, I wouldn't be who I am today. And my family they were disappointed when I got kicked out and had my first run in as far as getting put out of school for a semester. But my family they very familiar with adversity and people not being perfect. So it was a judgment-free zone. They held me accountable, but they wasn't the end of the world to them.
Gotcha.
And I got back in. So that wasn't the end of my career, my college career, when I got put out for a semester for my incident with weed. I came back. I was resilient enough to come back and march in the band again, got my scholarship back and everything. I just ain't finished because it was taking too long and life was kicking my butt, So that was more so what that was. And as long as I got out and did something positive, I didn't come home looking for a handout or anything. I got home, I was being proactive about being a better man. And that kind of, when you have a direction you're trying to go in, it makes your family feel a little bit more comfortable when you make mistakes. It's when you keep on making those same mistakes that the family won't be so understanding anymore.
Yeah.
What would you say that direction was?
Happy you said.
And what was that direction? when did you notice it? Like, man, this the direction.
It became when I left school. I left I left college, and within a year and a half, I moved to Nashville with my now wife, who was my girlfriend. When I went and worked a couple of dead-end jobs and went and got my barber's license and started working in the barbershop, that's when everything that I'm doing now started formulating and making sense. If that's the question you're asking.
Yeah. No, it did. Yeah.
Everything then, being around a community of brothers that wasn't glorifying hustling, being around a community of brothers that wasn't glorifying street life. I'm around black men that own the business. I'm around other big black professionals coming in and out that have high-level jobs, lawyers, doctors, nonprofit consultants, CEOs, policemen, brothers and I still got the street element coming in too. So I'm getting to see all of that in my mid-20s that I hadn't seen before, because in college you just see people in the journey with you. Then at Moss Point, I was too young to look at the positive figures like I looked at the negative figures. So as a grown man in my mid-20s in the world of barbering, just seeing all these black men coming into this one space and seeing how well-rounded my network was. And man, you can be this, you can be that. I'm seeing pro athletes, professional football players. We couldn't have seeing coaches, administrators, principals, collegiate coaches. I'm talking about CEOs, entrepreneurs, people, professional drivers. Like, it was so many of those professions that it was almost hard not to get that perspective and get your life on track. If you're looking for something positive, with all them positive brothers in my life at that time coming through my radar, you just had to be deaf, dumb, or blind and not want it at all for it not to rub off on you. Yeah. And what it did for me, it affected some other brothers too, just for them to become positive brothers. But it made me do the extra, because the brother that I was in the barbershop, that owned the barbershop, Gary Jackson, he did extra. So just being a disciple of him for so long, it made me do extra. So by the time my brother Hambino came around and I'm doing stuff on my own, And Bino came around with the message and the nonprofit idea. It was just, hey man, let's do it. It was like it was second nature.
Man, I read in an article about you talking about the power in relationships and leveraging those relationships as well. One of my pillars in life is building relationships, man. It ain't nothing that you get or you looking for. It has to come through a person, you know, and people are your most valuable resource. When you was in that barbershop, was that the time, it seems like, when you really started understanding the power of just these relationships, and then the things you learn? And then what would be, here's my question, what would be a piece of advice you would give to someone when it comes to building relationships? If they're in something right now and they're professionally trying to do something, right? Nonprofit, building a business, what piece of advice would you give them when it comes to relationships?
I would say learn from the people that you have relationships with. Don't be a taker. So a lot of times we got relationships with people that's doing a little bit better than us, or they somewhere in life where we want to aspire to be. And when we see those people, we become a leech, right? And what we do is we're asking these people for information, asking these people to pour into us, but we don't realize that we draining those people sometimes. So I would say, man, utilize your relationship, but become an asset to some people though. Like if you have a brother like I had, I'm gonna use a real life example. One of my brothers is a nonprofit CEO at the time, Gerald Brown. He was Nashville 40 under 40. Nashville Business Journal 40 under 40. He was recognized as the highest paid Black nonprofit CEO in Nashville. Mm-hmm. I have that's my brother. To this day, that's my brother. We have a 15-year relationship. I can call him right now, he call me right now. But as I was starting my business as an event consultant, doing private event bookings, I told him, like, bro, I do this. But instead of just him taking a chance on me, I offered a service to him for a discounted rate. And he actually got to see my work too, because we were booking stuff in the barbershop. So I made a point to show him what I was capable of doing. So, in turn, he was the first person to take a chance on me. He was the first person that booked me for 2 high-level private events. The first person ever to take a chance on me. But it come from me being intentional on showing him my growth, showing him the product I had, and not just wanting him to bet blind on me so I can let him down or mess him over or ruin whatever he got going on. So a lot of time we ask brothers that's ahead of us or in the space we want to be just to blindly support us without proving ourselves. Like, it's a humility. It's a certain thing you have to prove, show and prove, especially because brothers, I got to address this too. Because brothers would be like, man, brother, he ain't trying to help a brother. Everybody know brothers get one chance to help somebody, man. If you ever, a lot of times those talking points come from people who never had to make a decision to help another brother. You understand? To where it could cost them their livelihood. So they be like, man, he should have just hired he should have just got a Black person. What Black person in that circle has proven themselves to where that man can hire them at that level? So first of all, it's about tightening up our own skills, improving it to our network. Let's showcase our skills to our network of brothers and sisters. Let's show them that we're capable of doing certain things. If I'm a coach and I want to coach, because one of my brothers had a situation, let's think about this. I got to get another real life one, right? And I ain't saying no names, but this is a situation that just happened, and the brother went to Facebook on it. One of my brothers was trying to hire, he's over, I'm not going to name the city or town or nothing like that, but he's over the recreation department of that city. And he's he's coaching the teams, right? He's over the coaches. He hires the coaches for the rec league. So it's his job and responsibility to put these positive male role models in front of these kids and have them coach a team. So it's not just about X's and O's football. It's about being a good person in front of these kids, right? The person passed the background check. This particular prospective coach, potential coach, passed the background check. But when he did a deeper research based on a parent's observation, this is a parent's observation. This is not even his observation, him digging and looking for anything. It's a parent's observation, said, hey, man, this guy might not be the kind of guy, you know, to be a coach. He looked at the profile and was like, man, I think he can still be a coach, but he got too many pictures of him smoking weed on his profile. You understand? Every other page, every other picture, he's smoking a blunt. You know what I'm saying? So we are in 2023, and we all adults. We know marijuana is not the drug that they claimed it to be 20 years ago. You understand? There's a lot of states that have it legally, and in the state that we had, the state that's in question, went on, it's a medical state, right? But what he did, instead of keeping it real with the guy and keeping the relationship on the up and up, he played him like a fool. Man, what if it's tobacco? What if I got a medical card? Bro, you saying a lot of what ifs, but you playing with my intelligence. So instead of just having a conversation as a man, which they did, and he listened to his side, as soon as my guy ready to speak, the guy hung up on him and went straight to Facebook. So he didn't value the relationship. So it was about him and not what he wanted to do. Because if you want to do something, you're going to value the relationships it takes to do what you're trying to do. So if his ultimate goal was to coach, you're supposed to be humble and willing enough to have whatever conversation to show and prove the same thing I'm telling y'all or what I had to do, show and prove to where you can utilize that relationship to ultimately affect the youth, if that's what you want to do. And if that requires making a small change in your life and stop posting pictures of you smoking blunts, then that's cool, because nobody's going to go to your house and knock on your door and have you pee in the cup to see what you do at home. We just want to make sure that you, as a public figure around these kids, that the image that you have is nice, bro. It's dope. It's cool. You know, so with the relationship, he didn't value the relationship enough to get what he wanted to do. We have to value our relationships enough to realize that people have responsibilities of their own. They just can't trust you and give you an opportunity based on what you feel you deserve. You have to show and prove, and so these people can, so they can use you in the relationship you have with them. It don't have to be on, I trust him. It could be on, I know my man's the best. Let me hire my man because he's the best. So my advice on relationships is don't be afraid to show and prove yourself to the people that you need to have those relationships with. A lot of times, like all the other stuff, the surface level is, okay, keep your relationships cool. Make sure you treat everybody kind. Make sure you build, have a community within the people. That's all that's common knowledge, man. People need to be cool with proving themselves. People need to be cool with going above and beyond to make people feel comfortable for taking a chance on them. That's how I got to where I have in my relationships right now. Even with the community right now, I have high-level community events with some senators, some state representatives and all that. And I can come on there and tell you I'm a convicted felon. I got caught selling weed. I got them was bullshitting a portion of my life, and they still take a chance on me and believe in me and know all this information about me because I treated their relationships like I cared about them. And I proved myself. We come in the era where we don't have to prove ourselves no more. We just want a handout. We want people to empower to just trust us with a high level of responsibility. And that in real life, that just ain't how I go.
Yeah.
So my comment on relationship is just that, man. Let's value, but also don't be scared to prove yourself to brothers who look like you that's in high position that can help you, man. It makes everybody more comfortable.
Man, there's so much in there what you said. That's yeah, man. I appreciate you for sharing that because it's you got to. It's important. And at the end of the day, if you don't, when you get the opportunity, if you haven't went through it through repetition, not only you gonna embarrass that person, but you're gonna embarrass yourself as well.
Yes.
You know, and it's hard to come back from that. I know for the sake of time, I got to jump off soon, and we would love to do this again with you. But I got two questions for you. And I would like for you to also tell the audience, just to shine a light more on what you're currently doing right now. We talked about 200 briefly. You talked about as a husband, a father, your father as well. What would you say is 2 lessons you're learning? What are you learning in your life right now? Maybe professional or personal, or one or 2 things.
No, I'm gonna give you both. I'm gonna give
right
you
now.
both. I go professional. Professionally, I'm learning. It's hard, man. It's hard out here for a black man, especially getting into certain spaces to where it's not an athletics, entertainment, or something like that. Like being a nonprofit professional and trying to level your stuff up in the nonprofit sector or in a city that's predominantly black predominantly white that has a white face. Like Nashville is known as a white city. It's not known as a Memphis, or St. Louis, or Atlanta, or New York diversity, Miami diverse, Houston diverse, Dallas white. You know what I mean? It's certain things that Nashville makes Nashville a white city. It is what it is. So when you navigating it right now in this city, you're realizing that you got to go what's for you. Trying to get into certain rooms that not gonna value your opinion. Just going to be cool with doing it your way and making the best and creating a lane. So I tell all my piece of advice, man, let's focus on creating a lane instead of trying to fit into a lane. Because as a black professional, we need to create more lanes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We need to create more lanes. That goes back to the black exploitation film. I got to touch on that too. Before we go, man, before I answer the question, I feel irresponsible. I'd be deeply irresponsible to talk about what we do wrong and not talk about the institutional stuff. Not even the stuff we do right, because we talked about a lot of what we on the podcast with 3 brothers that's doing something right. So we ain't got to talk about what we're doing right, but talk about how we got to the point, to the drill music, to the black exploitation films and everything like that. That was systematic. You know what I'm saying? So it was by design that certain things got more light and got more publicity than other things. So I just had to touch on that real fast. But as a young black brother, create your own lane, man. Don't be afraid to create your own lane. Do it your way, and be professional with it too.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid. And as a parent and as a husband, stay learning. Stay learning. Parenting ain't like it used to be. You got a lot of societal factors that our parents didn't have to deal with raising us. And if you had a kid 15, 20 years ago, raising a kid now is totally different. It's a totally different time. So I always be open to learning, understanding that it's a compromise to being a husband and a wife. And just be the change you want to see. Be the example. If you want your kid to be a certain kid, you want your child to be a certain child, you can't be out here doing things a certain way and act like what you say. It ain't about what I say. It's about what you do and say as a parent. And a lot of times we got that part messed up. We'll show a bad example from our kids and show them bad examples of being a human being, being a dad, being a husband, being a wife, then expect them to be good because we tell them to be good. They go watch what you do and they go listen to what you say, but your actions go speak way louder than those words. So those are my pieces. That's my 2 I would like to end with. Create a lane. If you're a young professional, especially of color, you're a young black person, and you starting a business, you have aspirations, see how you can create your own lane doing it. And if you're a father or a parent or a husband, hey, continue to learn. Continue to learn and love on your family. And everything will work itself out. And don't know every damn thing, man. We got that bad in our culture. We know every goddamn thing, man. Stop acting like you know every goddamn thing, man. It was a quote I want to leave y'all with right now. It was on the documentary I watched, Zeitgeist. That's part of my journey too. The Zeitgeist, it had about 3 different parts. And one of the things that stuck with me on that podcast, on that documentary, it says, to be proven wrong has erroneously been associated with negativity. When in fact being proven wrong should be celebrated because it now elevates you to a new level of consciousness. So when I debate with my people, I'm not debating or having a conversation to be right. I mean, for me to be right, I'm having a conversation to learn what's right, so I won't be wrong again. And if we learn, we move, more of us moved in that life, we'll be better.
When you admit that I don't know, you become small enough to grow.
Come on, man.
You get empty enough to get full at that point. Because I'm cool with saying I don't know. So now I get to ask questions. Questions fuel my quest to figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, come on.
And that's how we get to
yes, sir.
I know Edgar gonna jump off in a few, but everything you talked about over the last few minutes, relationships, creating your own lane, being a parent, being a husband, it all comes back to doing the proper work to have a good relationship with yourself. Because once you truly know self, you'll be willing to take self out of stuff because you're going to respect perspective. You're going to understand that me knowing self, I only see the world through my eyes. So sometimes I'm going to have to let these eyes tell me about my blind spots. Egg and I talk about blind spots all the time. If the dude on the Titanic, the captain would have listened to old boy up there and say, hey, man, there's some icebergs up there. We might not get that story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He'd have just listen, learn about his blind spots. You also won't do to others what you won't accept for self. Right? You mentioned action. It's a thing I've been working on, Edgar, that I'm gonna put out later for a for a topic. But Edgar has a young daughter, Love, right? You mentioned actions being loud and words. Love don't understand everything they say yet, but she do have understanding of certain words because they probably went over there and touched it, said bye-bye when they gave it to her. But she needed that solid thing in front of her and them to give it to her to know that's bye-bye. She can't spell it, she can't read it, but she know about the action. So what you mentioned about what you do versus what you say, that's how important it is. And children don't understand everything. I had a My Baby Can Read program when I was younger. It wasn't teaching the child to read. You was putting the note cards on the item. They need something tangible, something they can touch and see. Now they associate that with it. But you saying don't do this and they see you doing, well, I'm gonna keep doing what I see. Not what I hear. So all that stuff you said was really important, man. For the sake of time, we are gonna end up ending this one, but we're gonna definitely do it again. I love to do it in person, actually. Where we can sit down, break bread, and do our thing. I know you got some stuff coming up on this end. We talked about that. I'll pull up because it ain't that far away. Again, something we can't reproduce. It's time.
Man.
And I like to say, the only thing that exists is the past and right now. The future don't really exist. It's just a big right now going to the next right now. So we appreciate you for being here with us right now. You ain't have to be. We appreciate that, and we hoping that what we do right now is going to influence what somebody does in their next right now, man. So thank you for being here with us. Val got any last words for you. I'll let him do it, but we appreciate you, man. And we look forward to building from this relationship. You know what I'm saying? We just formed one now. We connected. We're part of our network now. So our network becomes yours and vice versa. So
we
appreciate you. We appreciate you, and I appreciate you for being just transparent and open, man, about your mistakes and being authentic. You know, being able to, as one of my mentors say, just show your scars, man. The stuff you did, you paid.
Man, look, I have to be honest too. I've never divulged all of that about my college being kicked. I just said I've done some bullshit and got kicked out of college. So this is my first time really going into detail on a public platform about that. So I appreciate the platform y'all gave me. I think it was the appropriate platform for such a conversation. And it's an honor, man. I love to be back on. I love to be back on. It's so much we didn't talk about. I know y'all are educated on. I know y'all are breast on. So next time, I don't want to talk about me so much. I want to talk about what's going on. You know. So next time, let's get on. Let's do it again. Hopefully, it's in person. I will keep y'all up to date too when I be up that way too, because we did have a reschedule, Big C.
Gotcha.
So, but we are coming. We are coming. So I fill you in behind the scenes on that new date so we can get it together, man.
And Ed's right there in Dallas. So y'all, I'll swap contacts and all that. And I'm sure y'all can link too.
Yeah, I was just in Dallas. So I was the week before Christmas. So I definitely love next time I'm in there. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of business right now with Charleston White. So next time I pop up in the city, I'm gonna pop up on you, brother.
Yeah.
Sounds
For
good.
sure.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Shout out to
I gotta run and jump. Mr. Otis, it was a pleasure meeting you. I look forward to chatting.
My pleasure, brother.
All right. Another episode of Lit Code. We out.
Yes, sir.